Today is day one of the pinnacle of baseball, the World Series. The two words that define excellence in this sport. The World Series is where players go to become legendary. There is so many things I can say about the World Series. The World Series in itself, greatest version of a championship in all of sports, pure bias included. The World Series just has that ring to it. The World Series. I don't get that same feeling when you hear NBA Finals, maybe the World Cup. This team didn't win the World Championship. What are they, the World Champions of? Get the fuck out of here. The World Series is where teams are immortalized in baseball history for the rest of time. The entire season leads into the World Series. Everything that happened throughout the course of the season brings us to this moment between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays. The underdog going up against the new evil empire. And yes, I'm calling the Dodgers the new evil empire because they whooped the Yankees' ass in the World Series last year to prove as much. Starting on the side of the Dodgers, this World Series, I feel like is going to be really fun. No matter what the opinion is, a lot of people aren't giving the Blue Jays a chance and the Dodgers are going to have a cakewalk. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were saying the same thing about the Blue Jays over the course of the postseason and over the course of the year. At the beginning of the year, not a whole lot of people were counting the Blue Jays to be in the World Series. People would have called you crazy. For one, we'll take responsibility. I viewed the Blue Jays the same way I viewed the Milwaukee Brewers over the last few years, is that they were never a team to make substantial postseason runs or really looked at as legitimate threats. Now, there's only one more team standing in the way of World Series immortality. The Dodgers are coming off a 4-game series sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers, who were one of the best teams in baseball this year, one of the best offenses in the National League, proved to the rest of the league why the Milwaukee Brewers were not ready. The Milwaukee Brewers just looked completely outmatched, and the most important thing I took away from it was the fact that the starting rotation was just absolutely disgusting. Tyler Glasnow had another great performance. Blake Snell has been unconscious in this postseason run. I would argue he's been the best pitcher in the postseason so far, just because performance after performance. It really makes you wonder why Kevin Cash took him out in the 2020 World Series. Blake Snell, disgusting. Tyler Glasnow has been great. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's been great. And Shohei Ohtani. I don't want to hear this discussion anymore about Aaron Judge being the best player in baseball. Get the fuck out of here with that. 3 home runs in Game 4 to clinch the pennant, striking out 10 Brewers. I can't think of any other person in MLB history who can do something like that. While Aaron Judge is great, I never said he wasn't great. He's one of the best players in the league. He is just not the best. Shohei proved it as much, beating the Yankees in the World Series along with the Dodgers, and he's proven it out as much now. He's one of the best players that we have ever seen, and all he needs to do, because he already has his 1 World Series ring, no matter what happens in this World Series, as long as Shohei has a full-length career, he's going to go down as the greatest baseball player of all time. You can argue with the fucking wall behind me if you got a problem. The relievers, the bullpen's again still shaky, but that really didn't matter in this championship series because the Brewers just could not get consistent offense going at all against this Dodger team. And they had chances. They did have chances to score. The thing that they were very good at over the course of the season, driving in runs, they just were not able to do that. Offense for the Dodgers, you have Mookie Betts, you have Freddie Freeman, who really started heating up in this championship series. Teoscar Hernandez, he's continued to be a godsend for the Dodgers. Of course, I dived into Shohei Ohtani, and then you have other guys. Kike Hernandez is always a proven postseason performer. This Dodger team is everything that other teams strive to be. This team is deep, has a productive offense. You have a great starting pitching staff, and the bullpen is maybe the shakiest part about it. If the starting pitching is continuing to pitch how they've been, the bullpen may not be as big of a factor as it might be. It's going to be a tall task to ask the Blue Jays to beat this Dodger team 4 times. If the Toronto Blue Jays have shown us anything, been willing to rise to the occasion. Because I touched upon it in my most recent video about the Mariners. The Blue Jays are that team that has just been on fire. 1 through 9, not an easy out to be had. Guys are going to fight. You see it, especially in Game 7. The bottom of the 8th inning, they were able to get guys on and they were aggressive on the base paths. You have guys who are willing to get those slap base hits to set up the top of the order. You have somebody like George Springer, who's just been absolutely elite for this Blue Jays this deep into the postseason, coming off of a truly great season and a truly great resurgence season for him. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. won the ALCS MVP, and he has been on an absolute warpath this year, smoking the Yankees and helping get Toronto back to their first World Series since 1993. And also keep in mind, Bo Bichette is going to be making his return. Now, will Russ play a factor? That's going to remain to be seen. If he's any semblance of what he was during the regular season, that makes this lineup even more dangerous. Then you have guys like Ernie Clement, you have guys like Nathan Lucas, who have been very good for this Blue Jays team throughout this entire postseason run. Addison Barger is somebody, these guys can plug and play guys everywhere. Yeah, Miles Straw, who's a great defensive outfielder. I feel like there's going to be a slugfest. That's the same question I asked for the ALCS between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, is the same thing I asked for this World Series. Either the starting pitching of the Dodgers is able to silence the Blue Jays bats like they did the Milwaukee Brewers, or or the Blue Jays are going to have to smoke the Dodgers pitching staff and just not give them a chance to breathe. Because while this offense for the Dodgers is great and they've had comeback wins already throughout this postseason, having them keep that consistent pressure on them and not let them breathe, that to me is going to be the X factor that gives the Blue Jays the edge. The Dodgers absolutely just need to stay the course. Can Shohei Ohtani continue to be great? I don't know how many at-bats Shohei would realistically get. I'd imagine the Blue Jays would probably want to face Shohei with as little pressure as possible. Either way, this is a man who can score just by standing in the batter's box. He makes things happen even when he's not hitting. This is going to be such a great dynamic between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. If the Blue Jays are able to keep the bats hot, I can see this going into a very deep 6 or potentially 7-game series. Or at the absolute worst, I can see this being a 4-game sweep, and then that brings up the issues people have being like, oh, the Dodgers been too good. The Dodgers, we need a salary cap in baseball. A bunch of other stupid discussions. Will be a time and place to be had. I think the Blue Jays could win the World Series. I think the Blue Jays have what it takes to give the Dodgers a run for their money. Their reputation in the postseason precedes them. In order for the Blue Jays to win, they have to slug their way to the World Series. That means continued production from Vladdy, from Springer. You hope Bo Bichette can be able to contribute, even though he's been out of action for a number of weeks, and throwing him into the World Series is definitely not no easy thing to ask of anyone. And you look at the starting pitching for the Blue Jays, you hope that somebody like Trey Savage, the moment doesn't get too big for him. He's already shown he's been productive in this postseason, pitching great through points throughout the postseason. Who are the people who are going to truly rise to the occasion in the World Series? For the Blue Jays, you can look at somebody, Anthony Santander, who's been relatively quiet. He's been out of the lineup at times throughout this postseason, and he's someone who's really just has not been able to get it going at all this year. You look at guys like that on the offensive side. You look at guys in that bullpen. Can the Blue Jays pitching staff continue to overachieve in order to give the Blue Jays a chance to take home the World Series? A lot of things have to go right for the Blue Jays in order to come away with this World Series win. I can understand a lot of people's doubts and a lot of people looking at the Dodgers as being the first team since the New York Yankees nearly 25 years ago to go back-to-back in terms of World Series. I think this is going to be a great World Series no matter what people's opinions are. The Rogers Center is going to be absolutely rocking. Let me know you guys' thoughts and opinions down below. Who you guys think is winning the World Series? Do you think it's the Dodgers? Do you think it's the Blue Jays? If I had to give a prediction on it, I would say the Dodgers beat the Blue Jays in 6 games. And the reason I say that is I feel this Dodger offense is going to be able to rise to the occasion and continue to respond whenever the Blue Jays get any sort of offense going. I do believe the Blue Jays offense is going to get to this Dodger pitching staff one way or another. It's very conflicting because in my heart, I want the Blue Jays to win, but in my brain, I think the Dodgers could take it. But I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than I feel a lot of people will give this series credit for. But I do know the people who do believe in the Blue Jays, which I'd imagine would be the whole country of Canada, believe that this Blue Jays team can win the World Series. And again, I feel like this might be one of the best World Series matches we've seen in the last few years. But let me know what you guys think. I don't want Mookie Betts to win World Series MVP. Red Sox bias fully. But let me know you guys' thoughts and opinions down below. Show your support by liking the video, sharing it around with your friends, and subscribing to Vendetta Media. And also go check us out on vendettasportsmedia.com to stay up to date with all your favorite sports. NBA season's in full swing. The World Series is already going to be kicking off. We're going to have a lot of MLB offseason things to talk about. So would love for you guys to stick around and help us continue to grow what we already have building here. Support Vendetta Sports Media. With all that being said, guys, that's going to do it for me, and enjoy the World Series.